Okay, we got cut off on that last video, so here is part 2 of the same chapter, which is chapter 14. We'll pick up where we left off. Richard Lazarus, we've talked about him in the previous chapter and then in this chapter a few times as well. He says that stress can be looked at in 2 different ways. One, is the person focusing more on the problem or the emotion? You might picture us psychologists often saying to people, well, how does that make you feel? And as much as we do that, probably more than we should, evidence says that it's better to focus on the problem rather than the emotion or how you feel. Of course, you have to acknowledge your emotions, but focusing on the problem will allow solutions to be put into place. Lazarus did his initial research with people who survived heart attacks, and he found those who focused on the problem, what they can do about it, had better outcomes than those who dwelled on their emotions. Of course, it's not mutually exclusive one or the other, but certainly some people are more problem focused, whereas other people are more emotion focused. So moving right along, still Lazarus. You probably recall in the previous chapter cognitive appraisal as one step of emotion. In fact, that'll be a test question answer right there. Well, Lazarus says that there is a primary and secondary part of that. When something stressful happens, immediately your mind goes to analysis or an appraisal of how bad is this? You lose a job, you break up with somebody, what does that mean to you? But the secondary appraisal is, what can you do about it? Are you going to be fine on your own? Should you try to meet somebody new? Do you need to look for a job right now? Would it be better to wait till later? That's the secondary appraisal, what you can and should do about it. Moving right along. The type A personality. This is something that's been researched for many decades, not just many years. Somebody who's type A is motivated, driven, competitive. You can't stand to be second best. You have to win and beat everyone else. These people often find themselves in leadership roles because they pretty much know how to push everybody out of the way to get to be in charge of things. But is this bad for your health? And research says only if you are an angry and hostile person. So you're very competitive, you like to win, you like to beat other people, you like to be your very best. Not necessarily bad for your physical health unless you're also angry and hostile. So people who have issues like this, they are often having health problems if they are angry and hostile. And the types of health problems are anything you could imagine, from heart attacks to strokes to migraine headaches to ulcers and everything in between. So moving right along, there is a handout about that, risk factors for type A personality and stress, and that is in the attachment for this week too, of what would normally be handouts. The 3 C's of the hardy personality. There are some people that don't seem to be stressed about things, and how is that? Well, they still deal with stress like the rest of us, but they handle it more productively. The 3 C's are challenge. You like a good challenge. You don't shy away from things when they're difficult. Control. Not that you need to control other people, but that you stay in control of your own life. And then the 3rd C is commitment. You stay with something until it's done. You don't give up. You're going to be committed to finishing whatever needs to be completed. Last thing, lifestyle factors, and this will be quick and then we are almost done. First of all, for the exam, I want you to know that less than 20% of American adults are smokers. That's an estimate, of course, because not everybody admits to it and not everybody gets surveyed. That's an approximate number. Recent survey found 19.4%. That's pretty close to 20%. So what I want you to know is that has drastically reduced in the last 50 years. It used to be about half of all American adults were smokers. There's multiple reasons for this. One, people know the dangers of smoking. Two, smoking is not so readily available like it used to be in restaurants, airplanes, and even college campuses. Also, the cost of smoking has gone up exponentially. A package of cigarettes could run somebody $7, $8, or $9. That definitely reduces people's ability to be able to buy cigarettes and their desire to smoke. By the way, this also includes vaping and hookah and e-cigarettes and everything else you could think of that's nicotine intake. Next thing I want you to know, it is very difficult to quit smoking. Mark Twain once joked, quitting smoking's easy. I've done that a bunch of times. Well, he was being sarcastic, like he often was, because that is not an easy thing to do. One thing that research tells us is it is better to go what they call cold turkey than just to cut back on smoking. Try to pick a quit date that will be convenient, like the end of the semester perhaps, or after you complete a certain job or task, and say, that's it. I'm getting all the things related to smoking out of my house, lighters, cigarettes, and everything else, and I'm just going to quit. And if you fail, pick another quit date. Next thing, sexually transmitted diseases, STDs, sometimes called STIs, sexually transmitted infections. There are bacterias and there are viruses. Bacterias are things that can be killed off with an antibiotic. Chlamydia, gonorrhea, but viruses stay with you. They can go dormant, but you will still have them. So it's better to have a bacteria than a virus. It's better to have none at all, actually. But really, bacterias can be cured where viruses can go dormant, if at all. Sometimes a virus becomes deadly, like in the case of AIDS. But bacterias can be killed off. That's what I want you to know for the exam. Last thing is cardiovascular exercise. The Center for Disease Control recommends 20 to 30 minutes of cardiovascular exercise. So not weightlifting or swinging a golf club, something where your heart is racing. That's what's good for you. 5 times a week. Not every day, because you need some time to rest too, of course, but as a minimum standard, and if you can build up from there, great. 20 to 30 minutes, 5 times per week. Okay, that is it for chapter 14. Remember, this exam is exclusively online. You take it when you feel like it, and you use the password that was given to you, unexpected, and you will take the exam when you feel like it. As long as you finish everything by the end of the semester, you will be working from home from this point forward. Please contact me if I can help with anything. That's it. Thanks.